All right. We're just waiting for Polly to get on with Kaplan and Kirsch to kind of go over some of the details on this.
Correct.
Yep. Thanks. Just telling everybody new that's joined on. We got now about 15 people, so good job.
Polly
Thank you
is
for all the last
joining.
minute. What's that, Kristen?
Polly's getting on right now, so we'll have her in just a second here.
Yeah. So I think once Polly joins, Michael, I'd say let's maybe just have her take it away.
Yep, absolutely. Jump right into it.
There she is.
Good morning.
All right. Good morning. Michael, do you want me to just have Polly take it over?
Yeah, good. Polly, thanks for joining us. We got pretty much everybody here for this meeting. So Polly, why don't you take it up, see where we are?
Okay. We have, since last week, Sarah and her counsel and I have been working, and then Bill has joined us as well, to address some revisions that the resort wanted to make to our pledge agreement. And you'll recall our pledge agreement, sort of the steps in our pledge agreement evolution were a simple pledge of $1 million a year, the first of each year for 20 years. After our last meeting, we introduced a little bit of a shift in timing of payment and contemplated an initial payment of $1 million in 2026, and then subsequently two $500,000 payments at 6-month intervals for the remaining 19 years. Sarah took that back to her management and council and raised, I'll just speak from Bill's and my perspective, and I think yours as well, Michael, a reasonable concern that the authority continue to make efforts to seek other sources of funding so that it really could build a robust RTA. And so we have discussed a number of different options and gone back and forth a couple of times on language and landed on something that we think may be workable, but want to make sure that the formation committee is comfortable with it. We have kept the cadence that was discussed in the last meeting. So that's an initial installment of $1,500,000 at 6 months, $500,000 at 6-month intervals thereafter. But the concept that is new is essentially outlined in the last paragraph of the pledge agreement that I think Bill has put on our screens. So the pledge was originally contingent on the establishment of the authority, and the introduction, the new concept that's been introduced is the authority's receipt. You'll see it in Romanet 2, the authority's receipt of additional grants, donations, and other funding within 3 years. Following the date the authorities established in amounts that are sufficient to assume and continue the Steamboat Springs Transit Regional Service. And this had started as a very broad obligation, or had been proposed as a broad obligation to seek and obtain sufficient funding for your operational and capital needs. Bill and I, and myself in particular, felt like that was a little bit too open-ended and too open to too vague, since obviously our funding and operation is completely contingent on what we decide those operational needs are. So we settled on this approach as a particular commitment that the formation committee agreed to make in the IGA. We committed to a 3-year time frame to pursue funding sufficient to take on the SST regional service. So that seemed like a good condition to include here. If we can't do that, Steamboat, the resort, would not have the obligation to make the pledge. So we tied the two commitments together, and an ongoing condition of receiving at least those funds going forward. So that's the new language. It's essentially 2 in principal, substance, and 3, which is the obligation to keep that funding coming in as a condition of Steamboat making its payments in, I guess it would be years 16 and on. We convened this meeting because this is obviously a substantial shift from where we started, which was a very open-ended and mandatory pledge for 20 years. So I think with that background, it's probably a good time for questions and discussion. And I think,
Excellent.
Sarah,
Thank
it
you.
might be also good for you to weigh in on any comments you have from your management, and I'm presuming, since we haven't heard from you, that this is still something the resort is comfortable with.
Yeah, this is, I mean, so let me say first, I want to apologize. I was, I didn't, in hindsight, of course, this has to be done before the IGAs go, but I think I was not clear on the deadline for this. And so I know this is coming across as last minute. So apologies. It is still, so we still have it, Rob, we have one more person to review it, and he was traveling, so he'll be back in the office today, and we have a phone call first thing tomorrow morning. So just awareness of that it's not over the finish line yet. But I want to provide a little bit of context here. I think we have Michael, Sonia's not on this, but we, for a long time, back from the Innovative Transportation Days and the decision to make the RTA, we have said that is what we will support, and we do. Things have definitely changed since the feasibility study and the IGA. Totally understanding originally this was going to go to ballot together, both the formation and the funding. And then separated, which totally makes sense. The resort is in on supporting the RTA, but if it is not a robust RTA, then it does not bring value to us or all of our community. And I think everyone understands that we need to build out that robust regional transportation, and that does require more than just our $1 million contribution. But it's just we want a little bit of skin in the game, I think, is where we're going with the changes in this. And our $1 million can't even fund that transfer of SST, the regional component of SST. So so that's really what we're looking for. And if I'm being totally honest, we'd like to have it more earlier than 3 years, but that's something that we can hang our hat on because it's in the IGA. There is I will be honest to say that from my side, senior leadership is like, 3 years? What if it's only us for 3 years? What are we going to be able to get done? And what are we showing as tangible progress? So there's a little bit of angst in that 3 years, but that's something that is in the IGA we can hang our hats on. So I just wanted to provide that context to everyone of why that's here. We hope that they're going to ballot in 2026 for additional funding, or we have opportunities for funding with grants or other fees. So so I know we're all of us are in for robust regional transportation. I think we just want to be clear that it can't just be on Ski Corps and our contribution. And then I don't know in terms of delay what that means for you, and I understand it's compromising in terms of the schedule.
Oh, thank you, Sarah, for that explanation. And I do partner with you in that. We have been part of this, and you're actually right. Just the thinking forward with the Ski Corps being the only funding source for this. So what I'd like to do is open it up a little bit for all you municipal elected officials and the questions. Do you have any concerns or questions with the language as it is specifically? And then what questions might you have regarding this?
This is Randy. I think it's fine and it makes sense because if we can't get money within 3 years, it's not going to happen. I mean, not it just isn't. So that makes sense. This might be more of an IGA question for a future meeting, but we had talked last time about possibly doing an RFP and whatever. And does this in both the IGA and this, where it says continue the SST regional service, tie us in to SST? Is a question.
I'll take a first stab at responding to that, Randy. We do commit to taking over SST. It's one of the hardest service commitments that we make. The 3-year time frame is qualified to the extent reasonably possible, mostly as a hedge against, funding difficulty. But SST and regional service under SST is really the strongest commitment the RTA, IGA places on the future board.
Yeah, thank you, Polly.
The way that this is crafted is really about having sufficient funding to transition the SST service over. So, I mean, I guess technically this doesn't make that obligation enforceable by the resort. It just makes it so that if you haven't done that, the resort doesn't have to make its contribution.
And to me, that was kind of the main thing. When I heard this just the other day, when we were talking about the change in the agreement, this is a very reasonable request. And then giving it to Dan Foote and also you guys to kind of understand what we're talking about. It's just not forcing the hand of Ski Corps to be the only one. If we, and Randy, you said it best, if our municipal governments can't, one, close the deal on the formation, and two, get some kind of funding mechanism. It does not have to be a tax. There's a lot of money that's out there that Sonia Macy's was bringing up that we have to be concerned on. There's a lot of fed or state money that we can allocate toward this. So we don't know exactly what mechanism we're going to put into this. And so with that uncertainty, it goes to reason that without having the rest of the municipal governments throwing in some money, that Ski Corps is not going to carry the whole load on this. To me, it's always been, I'm thankful that the Ski Corps is going to give us some seed money so that we can work next year on getting the funding taken care of. And so to me, that's where I just want to keep this in that vein, the way I see it. Now, if I'm seeing it differently, please, someone bring up some new information.
No, Michael, that's the way I've always seen it. And the fact I mean, that's great that the Ski Corps was going to do that. When we started this, that wasn't, I mean, we were thinking they might, but we had no commitment. So that, to me, that's just a backbone of getting people hired, getting this set up, but we need other funding in order to function it, because you're not talking $1 million, you're talking probably $8 to $15 million, depending on what we end up doing.
Exactly. Any other comments? Matt, Mayor Dobbins, Stacy?
Yeah, Mayor Dobbins here. I just believe that this is the necessary step that we need to do in order to move forward. The language seems pretty straightforward to me. And nothing but gratitude from Oak Creek's standpoint for the seed funding from Steamboat Corps. Yeah, so I have no concerns with it.
Filling in for our mayor, whom I didn't see on the line. I don't believe we don't have any issues with the language. It seems reasonable. And then I just maybe a follow-up question as I was reading the language, and it kind of seemed to indicate it was slightly open-ended on the donations, but I think and I don't have it up, but it specifically, I thought said funding sufficient to make the transfer of SST. Is that? I don't have it up here. It's on the screen.
Yes.
I'm
Bill,
bringing it
can you-
up. I'm bringing it up. Sorry.
Okay.
So, I mean,
So-
that is a, I mean, to
There it
Randy's
is.
point, of course, that, that just needs to occur, but, the 3 years following the date of the authority to establish an amounts that are sufficient to assume and continue the, yeah, Steamboat Springs Transit, okay. I just want to make sure, I mean, that is like the big trigger, like, but I would assume that if the city, just as an example, I would assume that if the city just said, hey, you know what, we're going to continue to operate Steamboat Transit, we'll pay for it. Then technically speaking, we'd be all good then, right?
Yeah, okay, so,
So, I mean, it wouldn't mean that the RTA would be like as robust as we want it, but it does say Steamboat Springs Transit. And I just want to make sure I'm reading that right.
yeah, I mean, I think to be honest, I mean, we want an RTA set up and running.
As everybody else.
Regional training.
But
So
yeah.
I think, if that.
that's our trigger is my point. Like
Yeah.
that thing has to occur. And if that occurs in whatever form, with whatever money, seems like the pledge has to continue. Bill,
Well,
am I just not reading that correctly?
I think
I-
Roman numeral or letters I, the next piece I read as being pretty important. It can't just be a one-time infusion of money. That says it's a continued receipt of at least amounts to keep funding the RTA. So to me, that looks like that also requires some sustainable funding for the RTA. Polly, do you read it that way?
I do. And so interestingly, going to your point about what is the actual trigger, and it's receipt of additional grants, donations, and other funding in amounts that are sufficient to assume
Right.
and continue the Steamboat Springs Transit Regional Service. I suppose that Steamboat Springs could, it actually has to be sufficient for us to assume it. So if we were to assume it, presumably Steamboat Springs would, in your scenario, would have to have paid us money sufficient to do that and to take it over.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't think it would be hard for Steamboat Springs just to say, well, we'll keep it. Although if they did, that would be essentially the same as an in-kind donation.
Yeah, I may have not articulated myself well. I see the sufficient to assume and continue. So, I mean, I've just, the point I was just trying to make and not make, the point I was asking for clarification on was Steamboat Springs Transit being assumed by the RTA, regardless of how that money comes in, to operate it and thereafter to operate it. But I do see the pledge, number 3 there. I do see that as well. Continue to receive of at least such amounts of additional funds thereafter. I mean, that to me is a little open-ended, but at the same time, I'm comfortable with it. It was just point of clarification. Just,
Yeah.
just so everybody, I mean, I think it's great language. I think it's great. I just wanted a point of clarification there. So.
No, thank you,
I
Matt.
think Jonathan made a comment in the chat that maybe we insert currently before operated, and I would agree that's a nice clarification.
Yeah, I mean, at current service, I think that is good clarification. Current service levels, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Sarah, really appreciate, I think the vein of the intent of this language is to just protect the ski resort from just throwing $1 million to an RTA that's not getting support by the rest of the community. In the bottom line, to me, I look at that as exactly where we're at. I
Yeah.
want to make sure that as a partner, that Ski Corps feels that they are truly a partner and not paying, we're the money cow for this thing. We all know, all of us on this call, what our tasks are to get this passed and then formed and then funded. So I really appreciate us taking the moment, and stopping and making sure that this language is proper for all of us to recognize. I have no intention of ever letting Ski Corps be the main funding for anything. It's the seed money that helps us hire an executive director and get things going next year. And from that point on, I think this will all be moot. And then we look at the agreement moving forward, how we have it written, so that we're going to not have Ski Corps as the only funding source, but I would like to pass something in 2026, but the 3 years for me gives me caution. We need at least a couple of election cycles,
I think
right?
I think that is why.
And that's where the 3 years comes in. So I really think this is
So
a
if it
wise
doesn't
way to
go
do
in
it.
26, there's an opportunity to go in 27.
Yeah.
And again, this is really, I think we all know, we need a robust system. It's not, it can't just be one line. And so just, if this is, we want to just make sure that $1 million is not going to get us enough. And so this all has to be, everybody has to have a little skin in the game, to build out what we know we need.
Cool. Any other comments from people on this call? Attorney Dan Foote, anyone? Jay Harrington, thank you for being here, Jay. I know you guys have a meeting going on right now with the county. I don't know if you're able to speak with because you're in that meeting, but I just recognize where you guys are at.
Thanks, Michael. Just real quick, I would mention that the county is a very modest supporter right now of the Steamboat on the regional transit, and I don't expect that to go away during this transition period.
Cool, thank you. All right, any other questions or concerns regarding this language?
None here.
Cool.
Okay,
All
I
right,
wanted,
Bill and Polly, what else do you need?
I want to just read Romanet 2 as revised according to our conversation and Jonathan Flint's comment. Romanet 2 now reads, the authority's receipt of additional grants, donations, and other funding within 3 years following the date the authority is established, in amounts that are at least sufficient to assume and continue the Steamboat Springs Transit regional service at service levels currently provided by Steamboat Springs Transit.
Are you gonna make that update?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I just did in the live document.
Okay.
So
Thank you. And
I
then
think that should capture us.
I do want to, so Rob hasn't read this yet, and so I just want to put that out there. And I know that might impact schedule, so I just wanted to, I don't know what, if we need to adjust what the plan is for that.
Let me find our schedule real quick. I think our most impactful situation might be the city of Craig. So just give me a second. I should have had that ready to go. I apologize.
So
Okay.
Bill is
I'm
pulling
gonna
up. the
share
schedule.
my screen real quick. Sorry, go ahead, Polly.
Could you talk more specifically about your first availability to get this, or the first time you'd be able to get this approved internally?
Yeah,
Is that
so I don't wanna commit tomorrow. I think, Thursday or Friday. So, but I know that Craig's is
Yep.
the 12th.
Yeah, we have a packet deadline for Craig on Thursday. If we want to hit that August 12th, Oak Creek jump in, but I believe we have another opportunity in Oak Creek, so we can push back that 14th to another council meeting, I believe.
Bill, sorry to interrupt. We don't need a second reading, Lieutenant Hayden. It's an IGA ballot question. It's not an ordinance, it's not a
Right.
documentary ordinance. So it says second reading there. We just don't need it. So
Okay, you want to stick with the 21st then for
Yeah.
your,
absolutely. Yep,
cool,
good to go there.
done.
And I think we determined Steamboat Springs doesn't
Yep.
need a second also.
Yeah,
So-
it's not an ordinance unless there's some sort of statutory requirement here
No,
for RTAs, then we're good to go.
I think for Craig and Peter or Randy, if you want to jump in, it's that your common practice for your community is that any ballot question, no matter, goes through 2 readings.
Correct. It's basically any ballot reading is an ordinance is the way we treat it. Is that not right, Peter?
I can jump in here. I've created a draft ordinance for Craig, and you certainly won't have any harm by doing it that way. And we'll provide the draft ordinance after this meeting today.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
And
Randy, do you happen to know if we have, if we were to provide our pledge agreement exhibit after the packet deadline? Do you allow your packet to be supplemented prior to the meeting?
That we have, I'm just not sure. Is Peter, are you still on? I can't tell. Yeah.
Because I think what we would contemplate is attaching the document in the Form Bill that we just amended. And prior to the meeting, substituting the executed document, assuming Sarah is able to get her approvals.
Right,
and
and as far as how late are you talking getting that?
well, my goal, I can only manage so much
Right, right.
of my senior leadership, but we do have a meeting tomorrow, so. you
So,
know,
I mean, if we can, I mean, if the Thursday would be ideal. If not, Friday would probably, I don't see why that wouldn't still work. Monday is too late.
Okay, that's good, thank you. And I will communicate with you all as the progress.
Cool. Any other comments or questions regarding this?
I guess
Oh, good.
I would raise one other question just for Sarah to describe to the group. As you have worked with your internal management thus far, obviously you have a final meeting tomorrow, but are you expecting this to be problematic language? If you were to, should we, in other words, should we be building some robust contingency plans for another meeting?
Right, I don't know, Rob is, I hope not. That doesn't give you probably a sense of, it's hard for me to, without Rob having reviewed it, it's hard for me to give a definitive. I think everybody understands our commitment, our pledge. I think they also, understand the language and holding this, our goal of a broad and robust regional transit. So I think in theory, everybody is on board. So I just have to, it's just about getting comfortable with the specific language. I know that doesn't give you an answer, but I'm afraid if I give you an answer, there's many times that I have given an answer and then had to backpedal. So I will just say that I will do my best.
Thank you.
Michael, I'm wondering if it would make sense for us to try to put something on the calendar for this group, just in case we need to consider last week's.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
guess-
first of all, we all got together for this call pretty quickly. So we just want to make sure that we just handle these last few details of the IGA. And so if you want to put something on the calendar, what date would you think? Is that something next week you're thinking in case there's a change? Or they
Well,
don't approve of the
Friday.
My
language?
problem, Michael, my problem is next week's too late. We have to
Yeah.
have the
Yeah.
two meetings. Our meeting is the 12th. We need it by Friday. I mean,
Well, let me,
staff
let
doesn't
me,
work past noon on Friday.
yeah,
We
I
can make
do
it
feel
work,
better
but
if we have, it does make me feel better to have, even if it's a quick meeting on Friday morning. Just, I'd rather, it's like bringing an umbrella, rather have something and then it's easy to cancel. So that would
8,
be,
9, preference.
for me, the earlier the better because I have a commitment at 9:30.
yeah, I can do 8.
Yeah, as can
Yep.
I.
Okay.
Let's do 8 o'clock Friday
8
morning
o'clock.
if we
Invite
need
Me
it.
too.
Invite will come immediately
Thank you.
from me.
Okay, and again, this is only if there's some challenges to or whatever you guys want,
Right.
the wording, last minute word changes. Is that what we're looking at?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Thanks for everybody coming together and understanding.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you
Appreciate
all.
it. All right. Thank you all. I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting and we'll move forward with the language as discussed just a few minutes ago.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for being here.
Thank you.